exploring this great world of Draenor.
Right on. So now we're going to get into some garrisons. Anyone that was here yesterday for our talk, we kind of did an overview of the system, and today we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into how some of this stuff works. So when you build your garrison, you get a certain number of buildings that are already there to begin with. These are things that we didn't think they didn't really fit the paradigm of taking this structure and getting to place it anywhere in the garrison, like a mine, for example. A mine kind of has to be placed in a specific spot. The town hall is your main building. That's the building you're going to go to interact with the guys that are running your garrison and send your guys on missions. So that's got a predefined spot, and it upgrades with your garrison as it goes. After you have starting buildings, you'll get the chance to build your first small building. Here's a list of all the small buildings that you can build. All of our profession buildings are considered in the small category. And this really fits the kit of what we were talking about yesterday, where you'll be able to actually dabble into professions that your main character doesn't have. So for example, let's say you find a follower, and that follower is an engineer. You can now choose to build the engineering works building, assign that follower to that building, and then you can now run missions to get recipes for engineering and build engineering items, but you're actually not even an engineer. You're a blacksmith miner, for example. It's a really cool way to integrate it into the gameplay. So moving on, now we have medium buildings. This is kind of the next step up from smalls. It's a wide variety of buildings here. The inn, we talked a little bit about the inn yesterday. That's a place that you could find new followers. This will also be the place that you can get the pet stable, which is a building that's very unique to pet battles. You'll be able to come here. There'll be a trainer here you can fight. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do here that'll be just based around having that one unique building. Next up would be large buildings. These are the things that you would expect to see like in a Warcraft 3 base. Things like your barracks, right? Your armory, your mage tower. These are really these defining large buildings that are going to set the scale for your garrison. Each of these buildings has a bonus. These buildings have some of the best bonuses because they're the largest ones that you can get. So things like the barracks will increase the amount of followers you can actually have at any one time. So you're going to want to have more because they're out getting that loot for you. So the more followers you can have out on missions, the better chance you have to get new loot. Now, how do the buildings work? As we talked about yesterday, they upgrade over time. So you start out with a building. Now, each building has its own unique upgrade. So that barracks that you built, it'll start out looking kind of doinky, kind of small. But over time, you can get cooler and cooler versions that'll make it look more badass, more awesome, and it'll increase the bonus. So here's a look at a screenshot from our mock-up UI of how this would work. You can see the tooltip there on the infirmary that right now it's level 1, but at level 2 it increases the bonus. Obviously you'll have to pay a cost to get that, but you'll do all of that through this UI. You'll be able to come to the building, choose to upgrade it, wait a little bit of time, and then you'll get that new bonus. Now, how do we get the upgrades? Some upgrades you're just going to be able to purchase just for gold or currency. But we really want to get this feature to be something that feels like a part of the world. So we're going to drop a new item called blueprints. And you'll be able to find blueprints all over the world, lots of different ways. They could be a faction reward, quest reward, a random drop in a zone. When you find it, you just right-click it, just like a recipe for a profession, and then you can go back to your garrison, and now you'll know how to build that upgrade for that building. Where are these plans? Anyone that's played the pet battle system will be familiar with this concept here. So on this infirmary, to get the level 3 blueprint, we tell you where it is in the world. We show you it's a drop, it's in Frostfire Ridge. We could do the same thing with faction or wherever it would go. So you don't need to hop out of the game and go somewhere to try to find that info. It's right here available to you. Now, yesterday we talked a little bit about this too, about specializations. This allows you to customize a building once it gets to rank 3. So buildings have a total of 3 upgrades, and when they hit that 3rd upgrade, you unlock the ability to specialize it. So here's a look at what that would look like in game. You can see this armory has 3 specializations. Currently, we're thinking we'll let you change the specialization probably once each day. We might put a cost on it to change the specialization. We don't want you swapping it all the time, but we definitely want to give you the option to change it without too much trouble. It's a really cool reward for getting rank 3 of a building. Not only do you get the new art, the better bonus, but you get this piece of customization that you can do to it. Some buildings will let you assign followers to them. The example I gave you guys about the engineer a little earlier, all the profession buildings can have a follower assigned, but you can also assign followers to other places, like the mine, for example. You could find a miner, assign him there, and then he could actually work offline while you're gone and collect ore for you. And then what you could do is you could come back into the garrison, go to that building, and collect that ore from him when you log back in. Here's a look at what that would look like. Here's a mine. You can see we've got an orc there working away, generating a specific amount of ore per hour. But it's not like this is free, right? Because that follower, he's working at this mine, but he could also be out running a mission for you, trying to get loot. And that's where a lot of the gameplay really comes into running your garrison. You're going to have to make decisions about, I have these followers, do I want to have them do things for me in the garrison, trying to learn profession recipes, gathering resources, or do I want to send them out on a mission and have them try to bring back, gear for me? You have to really make those choices. So the garrison itself upgrades as a whole. You have buildings that upgrade, but you're going to need a place to put all those buildings. So your garrison starts small, but as it grows, we'll give you more plots to put things in. So here's a look at how that UI would work. This garrison is currently at tier 2. It can go up to tier 3, and you'll get 3 more building slots, allowing you to get more bonuses, find more followers that you can assign to those buildings. It's really a system. It works like your character, right? Every time you level, you get an opportunity to do more things and do more stuff, and that's really the concept here. We want the garrison to grow with you. Now, how do you get it to actually change from one tier to the next? You have to fill all the plots. So let's say at rank 2, your garrison has 6 plots. Once you get a building in all 6 of those plots, you'll unlock the ability to upgrade the garrison as a whole and move it to the next tier. Those plots come in 3 sizes, and you just have to match up the building size with the plot size, and then you can place that building anywhere you want in that garrison, as long as the plots match up. So here's a look at the garrison map in-game. This is rank 1. So we've got 5 plots here for players to use. This is what you start with. Then you go into rank 2, and you can see we've added a few more plots here. A mage tower has been placed, an infirmary. And finally, here's rank 3. And everything's unlocked in this garrison. There's still a few empty spots for players to fill here, but you can really get the vibe of how big it grows with you. Everything's unlocked in this garrison. There's still a few empty spots for players to fill here, but you can really get the vibe of how big it grows with you. So you've got followers. A little bit about how that would work. Missions can be a number of different activities. Here's an example of a few, how it would work in game. You can send them on a quest. You can do a scenario. You can obviously run a dungeon, and even you can run raids. Raids we're thinking are going to take multiple days to run, but it's really that cool, epic feeling that these followers you find can do awesome, cool things. They're not just hanging out. You can send them out to actually fight for you. The difference between all these activities is they take a different number of followers. So a quest you can run with a single follower, whereas a dungeon, you would have to combine 5 followers together and send them off. So how do you assign them? Here's a look at that UI. So your followers are listed out here on the left. On the right, you've got a list of missions. In this case, they're dungeon missions. And you just drag followers into those slots. You can see those lists of icons down there on the right side. Those are basically traits for the mission. And what you want to do is try to match those traits up with the abilities on your follower to get a bonus. So let's say there's a mission where you've got to kill orcs. There's an ability on followers called Orcbane. You want to try to match those 2 together, and then you'll get a bonus on that mission, and you'll do better at it. So next up, you select the mission here. We show you the difficulty of the mission. So as you're dragging the followers into the UI, it's going to dynamically change and try to give you a little bit of help and know this is something you can do probably pretty easily. This mission, you might have a chance to fail at it, so you really want to decide, do I want to send those guys on it or not? And of course, when you're done, you send them off and wait for them to bring back your sweet loot.